In today's video, we're going to be sharing how my past sexual trauma affects our current sex life. What is having sex like with me? Someone, again, who's experienced past trauma.
Difficult. I mean, it's good. Obviously. It's unique.
Unique how?
It's not just a physical interaction. I mean, not that sex is always... It's hard to really put it to words, but it's scary sometimes, for sure.
Why?
And I don't know what... How personal are we getting on this video?
Just honest.
I mean, you go through flashbacks or traumatic, like PTSD flashbacks and stuff.
Mm-hmm. You remember?
So it's hard to fully, be in the moment or anything, because sex with you is always like, I don't know. It's hard to put it in an exact way.
Do you remember if it was like that in the beginning?
Yes.
Oh, it's always been like this?
It's to an extent. That's why I've never understood why any of your other exes have noticed.
Haven't noticed, you know?
Have not. Why they haven't noticed that there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm. Did that affect their relationship at all? Or your desire to be in a relationship with me?
No. There was always just this cloud or something. It's extremely hard to put into words what I'm talking about. I mean, but if you're a guy who's had sex with somebody who's suffered the same type of trauma, I'm trying to feed her cheek, that you've had, then you would understand what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Where it's not like this purely like you're fighting the battle of sexual attraction, right? You have that where like having sex, so like there is some attraction that you have that would be fully there in a untraumatic sexual encounter.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also fighting the balance of like the fear. Right. So if you're having sex with somebody who hasn't had sexual trauma, sex for them won't ever have like this kind of shade of fear involved.
The fear that I'm gonna have a flashback, or fear that
that's my fear, but that's not like your fear. Like you are a little scared, not because of me. Hopefully, I mean it would make no sense, but like you're scared
to have sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have feelings. And they have pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I've never thought about it that way. I've always thought about it like what it's like for the person I'm having sex with. Like I never stopped to think about like what.
Oh, like how I'm enjoying it?
Yeah.
So you really think about it that way, and you're not thinking about how you're feeling?
No.
Right, because if you do, you're scared. You get scared or you get, like, grossed out.
I don't know. I think for a long time, I just saw sex as, like, transactional. Not, like, for money, but, like...
Hopefully.
Like...
You've always thought about sex as, like, I don't want to be doing this. Really. Not that you don't want to do it, but, like, I wouldn't choose to be doing this. It's part of my duties.
It's like this person does this because I like to do it, even though they don't really like to. Right. But that's my version of doing that.
Sure.
Or that's how.
Right. So
I've
it's like
seen it for the majority of my life.
Sex to you is like me making this video. It's exactly the same. I am here because you want to be doing this. It's something that you like to be doing. I don't understand why we're having this conversation on camera, but like we are, and I'm doing that because it's something that you want to do, and I don't necessarily want to be doing it. That's how you've always seen sex. I mean, it's changed. We've talked about it in the past, so Hopefully there are some differences now, but that's like the battle we're fighting.
Yeah. Or even if it doesn't start off that way, I think that's like what my mind reverts back to.
Well, I don't know if you want to put this in the video, but like we're having a conversation at this point now, but like every time we get to a certain point, like when it's going really well, that's when it shuts down.
Oh yeah, like if it feels really good.
Yeah. So there's always this like the end of the line.
Yeah.
Right. So there's like a complete cap of the pleasure that you can feel.
So do you have to enter having sex with me differently than you think you would have if I didn't have that?
I don't think there's just like any chance that it could be that there could be any chance that it would be any other way. Of course it's different. Right? It's not worse. It's not better.
Well, different how then? Because you said...
Because it's so much less. It's a healthy interaction. You feel it. Not a healthy, but no, it's like this person sees sex the same way I see sex. There's never been this weird other thing about sex.
Well, you mean this person sees sex the same way I do?
I've never been traumatized. I had sexual trauma in my life. So sex has only ever been like something that's like fun or intimate. All the words that you want to use positively for sex that you have at times, but you also have this other list of things that can be there that only exist if you've suffered through things that you have suffered through. Like there's no reason for another person who has not had that to have those thoughts.
And then for me, what it's like, I mean, he's touched on a lot of the stuff already. It's, in one way, what I do like about sex is it's very in the moment. Like, it takes me out of my head, and that's when, like, time really slows down, and I can, like, just be thinking about what's going on in front of me. But then also on the other hand, like, I don't know if that's like my body feels safe, so then all of a sudden maybe like emotions that I normally have suppressed start coming out, and a big one of that is fear. So that's all.
Well, also like your brain, and this isn't just you, but like someone like you, or you in particular, have a strong relationship with associations.
Yeah.
So, in the past, you felt sexual pleasure, not pleasure, you know what I'm talking about, right? Sexual stimulation is not pleasurable.
Yeah.
Right. And associated with that feeling is like fear and dread and all of these other things that come along with it. And so now you're fighting like your battle of like dealing with those associations.
Which is hard, and it gets frustrating because I do want to have sex and I do want to have a healthy sex life, but then it's just hard to, like...
Yeah, that's a good way to describe the sex, like with someone who has extreme sexual trauma. It's hard. And there's like plateaus.
There's a plateau.
You know, like we're going good, we're like good, like each time is different, whatever, it's getting better and better, and then it just kind of plateaus off. So like it takes a long, and where if you don't like take care of the relationship, it just, you know.
Do you feel like obviously our experiences are different, but while we're having sex, what are you normally thinking? Are you thinking about anything, or you just...
I am, for sure, but that's not also, I struggle with that, right? Like, I really struggle to be in the moment, you know, because I have severe ADHD or whatever, so, like, I'm always thinking, so it's very hard for me to be in the moment, especially thinking about like, it's almost like I'd rather be focused on not hurting you than the sex itself. So like, I don't ever want to be the person that's like, oh, you're in pain, or you want to be done, you're just doing this because we started, or whatever. So I want to be extremely conscious of how you're feeling throughout, which also takes me out of the moment, things like that. There's just a lot more to think about when we have sex, and like how other two people get to have sex. Yeah.
What advice would you give someone else that's in your position?
You better be like, extremely patient, like, and understanding. I don't know, there's a few more words you could use there just to mean like, or then really in love with this person, because like, you can't get frustrated or like demanding, you know? And like, there's gonna be gaps of like not a lot of sex, and then there's gonna be times where you have sex a lot, or that's just my experience, our experience, or whatever. But you can't ever be the person that's like frustrated that we have to stop, or like any of the normal, you know, guy frustrations with the amount or whatever amount of anything in their sex life. So you better be really, really into that person. What?
Do you think it's different from the like a normal relationship, but like having sex a lot and then not?
Yeah, of course.
It is different?
What do you mean it's different?
Like, do you not think that like it's just normal for a relationship to have sex a lot and then not really have sex and then have sex a lot?
But for different reasons, right? Maybe you don't have time, or what? I mean, or like, well, first of all, if it's the type of like where you don't want to have sex with each other anymore, you have a problem, right? In this situation where like you might not be having sex just because it's not a problem between you two, it's like whatever phase you're in or state of mind or whatever.
No, I meant like the just like the trope that you see in TV shows or like stuff where like the girl like the guy's like, oh, we just have a lot of sex in the beginning of the relationship, but we don't like have sex anymore. You know what I mean? Like they show that. I'm not making this up. This
No, of course. Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about.
So so are you saying it's similar to that just for different reasons?
No, it's not similar to that.
Oh, how so?
Because like in times it's good for you to not be having sex. Right? In that situation, it's a problem in the relationship. For us, it would, or for this kind of relationship, it would just be part of it.
Oh, I see what you're
saying.
saying.
Yeah, it ebbs and flows naturally, not because there's a problem.
I see what you're saying.
Right? Because it's not like with us, like if we are having sex for a little bit, it's not like we're both like thinking of like there's this relationship's problem. We're broken. You know, and then other guys are gonna hear that, like the super alpha whatever version of dudes that who knows how many guys are actually like this, but where if you hear that and that's a problem for you, then it would be kinder to never get into a relationship with a person like that than it would be to get into a relationship and then be a dick about it. But it's also probably not a great relationship for a person that has like no sex drive, you know, at all. Right? So like when you do want to have sex, like the person is still there to have like be around. Right? Because then it's just going to grow frustrations on your end. It's like, oh, I actually do feel it in the state of mind where I want to work on this because, you know, having sex is actually probably good for you. Having consensual relationships is good for you. So when you are in that state of mind, it would be tough to have some partner that doesn't want to have a lot of sex at that moment or whatever.
Is there anything else you think people should know, like just a generic view of this conversation? Okay. Well, if you have any questions about how trauma impacts sex or how it impacts relationships because of how it impacts sex or anything like that, please tell me in the comments.